NetsBoy, so let's hear what he has to say. His name is NetsBoy, he thinks the world is all over when the Nets just can't play.
What up, Net fans? NetsBoy here, bring your latest in your Brooklyn Nets news. All right, so it should come to a surprise to no one that the Nets fire Jacque Vaughn today or yesterday, depending on when you're seeing this episode. He was relieved of his duties as the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. And yeah, I think we all saw this coming. I mean, it's hard not to justify it at this point if you're the Brooklyn Nets. Um, just a couple episodes, if you remember, I touched upon, is it time to fire Jacque Vaughn? And I said in that episode I wanted to give him more time, and I kind of still wanted to give him more time. Like I felt like originally the Nets were going to give him to the end of the year to try to figure it out and then make a decision at the end of the year. But let's be honest, 21-33. They're like 6-18 their last 24 games, and then more recently that unbelievably embarrassing 50-point loss to the Celtics. I mean, the writing was on the wall. And now you're hearing, of course, that some of the players on the Nets, including Mikal Bridges, was not thrilled with how Jock ran to the offense. And I mean, Mikal actually kind of called him out after the Celtics loss. You knew there's something up when Mikal Bridges, who's pretty even keeled, said like, we can't be trying to do the same thing every night against the same opponents. Sometimes that just doesn't work. And to me, that was a clear indictment of the coach. And I feel like a lot of people felt the same way, including the Nets organization. And I have to agree. And that's one thing that, look, I don't know what's going to happen moving forward this Nets team. But the reality is, if you do want to be successful in the NBA, you've got to have versatility. You have to adapt your team to what's best suited, not just for them, but against your opponent. And I feel like that's what Mikal Bridges was saying. We have to change things up. So at the end of the day, it looked like the team just kind of checked out on Jock, which is really upsetting because Jock's a good guy. And I think he can be a good coach. I've mentioned this several times in the past. I really think Jacque Vaughn's a good leader. I think he's very good at communicating, and I feel like he's very good at bringing people together. I mean, you look at what happened with this team after the Nets traded away Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. That team could have imploded, but instead they huddled together and bought in and managed to hold on to the 6th seed, and were still very respectable. I don't know if every coach could do that. He became the voice of that team. But the reality is, I think it's ran its course. And obviously, Sean Marks felt the same way. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. So it's always upsetting and sad because you don't want anyone to lose their job or get fired. But I do think this was the right move. I also think it was the right move to do it right after the All-Star break. We're getting ready for the second half, though it's more like the last quarter of the season because there's, I think, only 28 games left or something like that, 28 to 30 games left. So I think this makes sense. I just kind of wish maybe they gave him a little bit more time, but I feel like after that Celtics loss, that was the straw that broke the camel's back because that was just embarrassing. And it's just unfortunate. So Jacque Vaughn is out. A move that I really think makes a lot of sense. A move that I'm actually behind, even though I told you I did like him as a person. I did think he could be a good coach. But under these circumstances, this was the right move for the Nets. I haven't been thrilled with a lot of things Jacque Vaughn has said or his decisions he's made this year. I've touched upon poor timeout management. I've touched upon that I felt like he should be giving other players like Nick Claxton more offensive touches. I've touched upon maybe creating more ability, plays to allow some of the shooters like Cam Johnson to get some more open shots. I just feel like there's more he should have been doing. So I think it makes sense under these circumstances. So now the question is, who is going to be the coach moving forward? Now, all the reports are, though I haven't actually seen something that has confirmed it yet, but all the reports are it's going to be Kevin Ollie, who is one of the Nets assistant coaches, that he's going to be the interim head coach for the remainder of the season. And this actually makes a lot of sense. Kevin Ollie used to be the coach, had a brief stint as a head coach of the UConn Huskies. Didn't have a lot of success there when he replaced Jim Calhoun, but that was because he didn't really want to recruit. And he's one of those coaches. Sometimes in college, a lot of college coaches don't want to recruit players; they just want to coach. But you got to do both. I feel like Kevin Ollie felt fit that mold. So I am intrigued to see what Kevin Ollie is going to be as a head coach, at least for the remainder of the season. And this is the same situation we saw 2 years ago, right? When the Nets released Steve Nash, fired Steve Nash, and let Jacque Vaughn take over. And they said, "All right, Jacque, you're the head coach for the remaining of the year." And what did he do? He earned that permanent coaching tag after a great job as the interim head coach. As we all know, just now, it didn't work out long term, but still, he got that position. So that is something that I feel like the Nets are doing with Kevin Ollie. They're going to say, "All right, Kevin, you've got 28 games to show us what you can do as the coach. Can you help right this ship? We want to make the playoffs. We really feel we need to make the playoffs. We have to show growth, at least be competitive." So that's what these last 28 games are going to be about, just as much as all the other players on the Nets trying to figure out how they're going to play, if they're going to be on the team in the future. Kevin Ollie is going to try to come in and prove himself as a head coach. Before I go a little bit more in what I would like to see from this Nets team, I do want to address one thing because I know it's going to come up. A lot of people are going to point to the game in which the Nets rested um, the entire team against the Bucks around Christmas time. Whenever the Nets did that, and they rested everybody, and Mikal Bridges played just the first quarter, and I think Cam Thomas played just the first quarter, and then they played a bunch of the G League players, and they got destroyed by the Bucks, and everyone flipped out about that, and they said, "How could they do that?" A lot of people now are bringing that up as the downfall of the Nets, and I understand why, because that pretty much was when the team started tremendously struggling. They were a 500 ball club at that point, and since then they're now 12 games under 500. I just want people to understand that that was not Jacque Vaughn's fault. It was not. That is an organizational decision, because a lot of people will be like, that it was the thing that made the players get alienated from Jacque Vaughn. It wasn't. All right, that was not the reason. I know a lot of players didn't like that, but I'm pretty sure that that was an organization decision. I'm pretty sure that went all the way up to Sean Marks and maybe even Joe Asai and saying, like, we want to rest these guys. Now, if it wasn't an organizational decision, then I completely agree. That decision to rest all those players alienated the staff and made them start not trusting Jacque Vaughn. But I just don't believe that, because I believe if that was the case, then Jacque Vaughn would have been fired a lot sooner if the Nets organization didn't want him to do that. But I don't know. I'm just speculating here. But I just want to address that because I know people are going to look back at that and say that was the definitive reason and the reason why the downfall of Jacque Vaughn. And I just want to say, I think that might have played a factor, but I don't think that was the reason. But once again, I'm just speculating. But so I just wanted to get that out of the way. So now I want to just quickly just discuss some of the things I hope to see moving forward with this Nets team the last 28 games with Kevin Ollie as the head coach. I'm not going to discuss possible coaching candidates at the end of the year and so on and so forth. There's no reason to. That's a discussion for down the road. I know there's already loads of speculation out there. The reality is it's most likely Kevin Ollie. Well, I'm pretty sure it's Kevin Ollie. Once again, it's not been confirmed from my sources, which is just, everyone else's sources. But it sounds like it's him. So we'll just leave it as that. But what I do want to see moving forward is just more consistency and commitment on the offensive end when it comes to certain players. I mentioned this earlier. I think Nick Claxton needs to be utilized more in the offense. I am getting very tired of this Nick Claxton kind of being pigeonholed as just a rim runner and a defender. Like, yes, those are his two strengths, but we've seen the glimpses of his offensive capability. We've seen him knock down a mid range jump shot. We've seen him post up and make some tough layups. We've seen him work the triple threat and put the ball on the floor and use his quickness and athleticism and ball handling to get to the basket. Heck, we've seen him even hit the occasional three. So why don't we see more of that? And I'm not saying you make him the focus of the offense, the focal point of the offense. I'm not saying you play through him, but I'm saying when you have a matchup against slower bigs, and maybe this is what Mikal Bridges was alluding to with changing it up. Maybe you should try giving Claxton the ball 10 times a game and let him try to score with in the triple threat. Right? Like that could put a lot of pressure on the other team's bigs to try to stay in front of Claxton. It could get them in foul trouble, which could open up the rest of the offense when the bigs or interior are not playing or in foul trouble and they have to be removed. It allows the offense to flow better. Maybe try that, right? And then, as I said before, maybe give Cam Johnson some more opportunities to score. He's a very efficient mid-range shooter, and yet I don't see him shoot a lot of mid-range shots. They let him spot up and shoot threes. Okay, how about we write a play for him to come off a screen and shoot a couple threes, right? Let's come up with some plays to get Mikal Bridges some elbow jump shots. That's one of his strengths. The elbow jump shot is one of his spots. Well, instead of giving him the ball and trying to get him to create his own shot, which he's not great at, let's try to see some screens and him coming off some screens and catch the ball at the elbow and create enough separation to make the shot. Let's see these things. Let's see a pick and pop for once instead of a pick and roll, right? We rarely see a pick and pop between people like Finny-Smith and Cam Johnson. People are always rolling to the basket. Mix it up a bit. Like, I don't know. These are just some things I want to see. Will we see them? I don't know. It's a lot to expect a team to completely change its offensive identity with 28 games to go. But I just want to see something. I just want to see some sort of difference between what we've seen from this Nets team under Jacque Vaughn and what it could be with Kevin Ollie. Let's just end it with that. I just want to see change. All right? Because it's clearly not working. It hadn't been working. That's why the Nets made the decision to get rid of Jacque Vaughn. And it just needs to be better. So that's how I'll rest it. That's how I'll end this episode. That's what I want to see this Nets team moving forward. Let me know what you guys think about everything. About if you like and agree with the firing of Jacque Vaughn, the promotion of Kevin Ollie as the interim head coach. If you agree with me of some of the things you want to see the Nets do, what do you think was the true downfall of Jacque Vaughn? I just think it was just how bad the team's been doing. Simple as that. 12 games under 500, and then the 50-point loss to the Celtics was the straw that broke the camel's back. I think that's what it is. But let me know what you guys think. And before I do my next, wrap up the episode, I will do my thank you to Jacque Vaughn. Jacque, you've been with the organization for years. Even before he was the head coach, he was the assistant coach for almost 7 years, I think. He, pretty much was given the daunting task of taking over for Steve Nash, and it was almost impossible to try to succeed, yet he did a very good job under the circumstances. I felt like he was, like I said, he's a very good person and a respectable coach, and I feel like a good leader. I am a little upset to see him go as the Nets coach, but I do think it was the right decision. But Jacque, I do want to thank you for all your years as an assistant and as the head coach of the Nets. I do feel like, he was a key factor of this Nets team being respectable last season. I'm sorry it didn't work out. So a NetsBoy salute to Jacque Vaughn. Thank you very much. I know I personally don't have any true ill will towards you as a head coach or anything. I do hope you get another head coaching job. I think a young team is a good place for Jacque. I don't know if he can handle a win now mentality, but I don't know. I thought the same thing about Kenny Atkinson. And, although I still think Kenny Atkinson should be given another job sooner rather than later, maybe he can come back and become the new head coach of the Nets. I never wanted him fired in the first place. But anyway, I digress. So thank you again, Jacque, and good luck to you. And until the next Nets boy, this is Nets boy saying, let's see some change there, Kevin Ollie, and hoping this Nets team can figure this out for the last 28 games and sign it off.